In the first 100 days, I will send an immigration bill to the United States Senate with a pathway to citizenship, do away with some of the, I think, very damaging executive orders.
Joe Biden lays out his plans to reverse key Trump administration foreign policies in his first 100 days. So are we looking at a return to the Obama era?
Joining us now to react, Young Americans for Liberty analyst Kristin Tate. Kristin, good morning to you. Happy early Thanksgiving. Give us your thoughts here. Now, we're seeing it looks like an immigration bill is top of the order, along with the environment and COVID relief.
That's right. Last night, Lester Holt also asked Biden about his cabinet picks, which make it very clear that the days of, entrenched D.C. insiders at the helm will return. Put simply, the swamp is back. Tony Blinken, as Secretary of State, signals, a shift back to that Obama-era interventionist foreign policy of policing the world and illegal drone strikes. A lot of people don't remember we saw more drone strikes carried out during Obama's first year than we did during George Bush's entire presidency. Last night, Biden also dodged questions about schools, like the schools in New York being shut down due to COVID, even though all of the data suggests that there's no, danger to students or staff from in-person learning. We still don't know who Biden will choose as his Secretary of Education, but it seems that, a Biden administration could be a threat to school choice, especially because several of the people on his transition team are from some of the nation's largest teachers unions. And if we lose school choice, that is a real tragedy for, students who come from some of the most underprivileged backgrounds. So, it seems like we are looking at a return of big bureaucracy, Obama-era policies. And interestingly, this could result in not just conservatives disliking an Obama administration, but also the left-wingers in his own party who would love to see much more radical policy agendas, especially with foreign policy rolled out, and may not be satisfied by the direction that his cabinet picks suggest he'll go in.
Good point. That's definitely something to follow. Let's pull up this tweet here for a second. This is from a Bloomberg political reporter tweeting about Biden's socks on Monday, and this reads, George H.W. Bush was known for his socks. Maybe Biden will be too. Today he wore dark blue socks adorned with lighter blue dogs. Yes, there are plenty of more substantive things to tweet about, but we can have some fun sometimes too. I mean, look, I agree with that statement. We can have some fun sometimes too. I think, Kristin, correct me if I'm wrong here, it just seems like there's been so much focus on the softball questions that Joe Biden has received for a long time now that when you throw in, something like this, I think that's probably why it's getting a lot of play. And it has a lot of people, rightfully so, asking, is this what we can expect to see going forward? More of that lighthearted softball stuff.
You're exactly right, and it is what we can expect to see going forward. I mean, the mainstream media doesn't even pretend to be objective anymore. Joe Biden is a career politician with nearly 4 decades in public service. There's a lot on his record to scrutinize that should have raised questions during the campaign and after. He was responsible for a crime bill that led to mass incarceration. He voted for the 2003 invasion in Iraq. His son, Hunter, had questionable dealings overseas and made millions from nations like Ukraine and China while his father was vice president. He has so many things in his background that should be raising questions, but those questions just never came up. But what's really interesting, in my opinion, is that as Biden comes into office, we may see some of these outlets like the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, and MSNBC actually losing readers and viewers because there's no longer a boogeyman like Trump to complain about all day. I mean, if they're just pushing out puff pieces about Biden's socks all day, people might get bored and just stop tuning in.
Well, Kristin, as Biden comes into office, there's going to be a lot of talk about the post-election Monday morning quarterbacking, if you will. The Media Research Center has a new poll out that polled some 1,700 people in the 7 swing states about their vote and how they felt about things. And there are a couple of issues, the Biden sex assault allegations, Hunter Biden scandal, and, of course, Senator Harris being the most left of them, found that 1 in 6 Biden supporters said they would abandon him had they known more about some of these issues. Tell me about it.
It's such a shame that we really saw in this election a coordinated effort between the Democrats, the media, and big tech to suppress and outright ban stories that were bad about Joe Biden. It was so partisan, and this really is, in my opinion, the biggest threat to our elections and to our democracy. I mean, right before the election, Twitter was banning people from posting links to a New York Post story about Hunter Biden that was a relatively well-researched story, was not factually incorrect. The New York Post cited its hacking policies, but the same site, Twitter, had no problem with users sharing reports from the New York Times a few months earlier about Trump's leaked tax returns. So people are finally becoming aware of this. That's why people are going away from Twitter to other sites like Parler, but it's a real problem when people don't have access to real information.
Absolutely. Kristin Tate, thank you. As always, good to see you. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Guys. Happy Thanksgiving.